think number one thing that we don't really want to have this E3. Can we not have awful scripts?
You know what?
That's
Dude,
right,
awful
Matt. We
scripts
shouldn't
is
have awful scripts.
yeah, awful scripts is yes, awful scripts are not great because you've got to deliver the right stuff. Because writing
That's right, John. Ha ha ha.
that's good as well. Also, we should talk
Surprise
about
ending!
yeah, that's not in the script.
Also television.
Hello and welcome to the Game Buzz. And there's only one kind of big thing that's on everybody's minds this week. It is, of course, E3. It's just around the corner, and we're going to do a big pre-3. Aha, see what I did there? Blowouts of predictions and tap into Carl's clairvoyant powers of foreboding later on. But first of all, joined here once again by Carl and John. I feel it's time we really ought to look at the recent clarification in inverted commas from Microsoft on the Xbone's game licensing and connectivity features.
Yeah, that's right. Microsoft, after several weeks of real confusion, they've finally clarified that the Xbox One is always ready to fuck you. But firm details is better than no details, frankly. So, that's it's good to have firm details finally. And I think first we got to deal with one of the rumors that turned out to be true, which is that the Xbox One is not always online, but will have to connect to the internet at least once per day, or it turns itself into a Blu-ray player. Like, I think the half of the Xbox One that isn't a Blu-ray player sort of snaps off and scuffles away until you reconnect it to the internet.
It's like one of those weird sort of Mission Impossible. This console will self-destruct in 24 hours if you don't connect.
That's going to be really stressful for a few people, I think.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh my God, I need the save point. Oh God, I need to connect it. But yeah, so what Microsoft has said is that because the whole point of the Xbox One is that it will have all these fantastic online enabled features, and that you'll be able to sort of share your account with various consoles, and people in your house will be able to share your console. You can play games for 23 hours and 59 minutes without sustaining an internet connection. And then you'll just briefly have to connect it to Xbox Live once per day, which, to be honest, is probably okay. Probably.
Unless you're playing it on a different console. In which case you only get 1 hour of grace, and then you better connect it up to the internet, or someone's coming for you.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the fact is that because accounts are now sort of stored on the cloud, you can go to a mate's house, recover your account, play your games right there in their house. That's really cool. But of course, it's got to check much more regularly because they don't want loads of people using your account at the same time.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense to me. But the problem is that while, like, at the moment, I mean, you guys, like, if I'm sure I speak for you guys here, to be honest, when I play my Xbox 360, I'm usually always connected to Xbox Live, apart from when my terrible Sky TV internet isn't working. Like, I can usually find time to log on once per day, and usually I'm connected the whole time.
Yeah, that's actually, I mean,
so
Cole, is that true for you?
Absolutely.
As well?
Yeah,
so if I can be, I will be online.
Yeah, so it's not really that big a deal, but it's kind of the whole thing about this next generation is that we're going to be segueing away from ownership to licensing, and it's just another little thing that says this isn't your console. Not really. This isn't yours at all. You're just kind of leasing it from us. You're paying us the money, but you can't actually use it on your terms unless you jump through the hoops. And that, I think, is what's pissing a lot of people off. Oh, and of course, do remember that a lot of places, a lot of regions in the world do not have access to stable internet, especially some of the, big upcoming sort of regions that games markets are sort of expanding into at the moment. And, you know, a lot of people just don't.
And that's the thing is,
and that's the thing. It's removing that choice, and it's stopping the console from being truly yours.
But if you had any sort of questions after the Xbone reveal, well, this pretty much answered them. And yeah, the Xbox One is just not for you. I mean, Microsoft have actually they've done it quite well. They've done it quite well, you know, in a sort of business sense, I suppose. They've come out and they've targeted a very specific, very affluent, very US-centric demographic with all of their news about the Xbox One, saying, "Oh, sup, frat boys who constantly play about 3 games throughout the, always online and like sports. We're gunning for you." And do you know what? When Cliff Bleszinski, back when he was talking about microtransactions, and he said, you know, the normal dude bro on the street, he just plays Madden and GTA. He doesn't give a shit about any of this. He was right. And Microsoft have built a console based entirely around that. And
at the moment.
At the moment. But I mean, for places with dodgy net, for extenuating circumstances. For example, like when I moved house, because internet service providers are fucking useless.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't get internet. So I was working off a fucking 3 dongle for 3 weeks just so I could get on and work on Dealsbone. But I couldn't. Obviously, I couldn't connect my Xbox to the internet. It didn't really matter because you can play Xbox 360 games offline. You can play Steam games offline. You can, or just, you know, any PC DRM free shit that I've just downloaded from GOG or anywhere else offline. That's all completely fine. But in that sort of situation, I wouldn't be able to play my Xbox One.
No, but you would be able to watch Blu-rays on it. So, you know, that's really useful.
Which I could already do on my PS.
And you can, and you don't have to connect to the internet to watch live TV, which is good. Because at the moment, I always have to, when I want to watch TV, I always have to connect to the internet. So, you know, that's really convenient.
I actually do, though, because I never watch live TV. Oh.
Actually, yeah, that's, to be honest, I mean, that is actually a fair point. Like, I think the problem with this particular part of the Xbox One's philosophy is that we hate it in theory, but in practice, actually, it's not going to change our current gaming habits at all.
Really. Yes, but now we're aware of it.
Exactly, but yeah,
that's basically
but in theory, I hate it. As a consumer, as a site, we always feel, I don't know, we always try and stand up for the consumer as much as possible because that's what we are. I really hate the idea of this.
But the thing is, it's nice having the openness and the freedom and the choice for when things go wrong, for when you're outside of your sort of giving confidence, or when you're on the like.
But it's fine. I do. There is actually a backup, and it's called the Wii U and the 3DS and the fucking PC. It's the PC that I have.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can watch TV on that as well.
You can.
I can. I really, really can.
I can watch TV on my TV.
No, you can't, Carl. Don't be silly.
To be honest with you, I haven't. I was going to say, I haven't actually watched TV. Here's the thing. It's easy to be facetious about it, but I don't watch TV on my TV anymore. I watch it on Netflix these days and like iPlayer. I haven't watched TV on my TV.
There are other TV streaming services.
Yeah, but none of them are as good.
No.
As iPlayer.
Not at all.
Just putting it out there. Yeah, so I think we just really want to hear from you guys about what you make of this, because you think about it one way, it's not going to change all that much, and at the end of the day, us gamers are used to just being shoveled loads of shit and dealing with it, and literally dealing with it just to play the games that we like. Like, if a decade ago you told me that I'd have to enter codes into games just to play online and make like 3 or 4 dozen different accounts for loads of service providers, and I would have laughed in your face a decade ago. But we're doing that now. We do that willingly now. So I think there's going to be a lot of sort of belly aching, and then we're going to have to see whether those games Microsoft announces at E3 will make us forget all about it.
I think that's the key. And I mean, I've written a massive opinion piece on this. Like, go read it after you've listened to this or while you're listening to this. And yeah, I mean, Microsoft have taken our mantra, the mantra that it's all about the games, and used it to essentially dare us to not buy the Xbox One. Because if they turn around at E3 and just announce a slew of exclusives and sort of timed exclusives for important multi-platform titles like COD, which they always do, like FIFA, which they've already done, and there are hints towards Respawn's Titanfall being a Microsoft and PC exclusive. If they get big coups like that, what they're basically doing is saying, look, we've got this lovely stuff. Shh, it doesn't matter how hard we're fucking your rights.
Yeah, no,
play
they're
our
giving us a
games.
sort of they're doing the sort of sandwich maneuver where you put the bad news or the bad thing in sort of in between. I don't know if you can call the Xbox One reveal event good news, but at least they actually revealed something, you know. So you get that, then it's the it doesn't, you know, you'll have to connect online, but look at these games. I think we'll get on to Microsoft and sort of the rumors and the confirmed facts about their E3 presser soon. But should we deal with the whole licensing and pre-owned side of things first?
Yeah.
Should we get that out the way?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the Xbox One will play pre-owned games, but it's apparently Microsoft have decided to, by the looks of it, put the pre-owned market in the hands of the one party who is always known for putting consumer rights and customer service front and center. The people that we can trust to make decisions in our best interest. The fucking publishers! So
John's had an aneurysm.
Okay. So yeah, what they've said is basically we are going to let publishers decide whether or not to allow the used games market to exist. Publishers will be able to take a case-by-case basis on whether or not they will allow their games to be traded in at, quote, participating retailers. That, I guess, technically means that not only could perhaps you get retailer exclusive pre-orders and DLC and stuff, maybe you could have exclusive retail trade-ins, deals like that going on. I don't know. And the fact that it says participating retailers, depending on how you read it, it either means that publishers can just say, oh, you can trade in our games as normal, or we can impose restrictions on it, or that publishers will be able to say you can't trade in our games at all as the default option.
Yep.
As the default option, they can just say, you know, the wording is that publishers can decide if they want participating retailers to allow you to trade their games in.
Also, we can pretty much just substitute GameStop in for that.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me. Like it's saying specific shops as well. So the pre-owned market has been funneled into one particular retailer, or perhaps a couple if they agree to it. So yeah, GameStop, or for our case, like Game.
Yeah, this ties in nicely with rumours that retailers will have to install sort of entirely new systems, sort of Microsoft Azure-based systems that will check off disks, that you'll give them a disk and it will register that particular disk as a pre-owned copy and remove it from your account. So retailers will have to, at I assume, considerable cost, implement this system themselves. Though Microsoft apparently will not get a cut from pre-owned games at all. Which is a bit odd, to be honest, because frankly, I think this whole situation could have been avoided just by Microsoft and publishers and everyone sitting down with retailers and saying, look, keep doing what you're doing, but could you just give us a quid every time you do? I feel like that might have been enough. But we'll never know now.
No. Well, we're still waiting to hear what Sony's stance is going to be for the PlayStation 4. I mean, everyone's suggesting that it is going to basically be pretty much the same.
Yeah, let's face it.
We've still got to wait and see. Because as you both have pointed out, it could come to the point where the Wii U has a unique selling point in that it can play secondhand games without any faff whatsoever.
And that's the thing. That's the glorious irony of this situation. That come the end of E3, Nintendo could sail out on a boat made of Mario and Zelda, and just at the forefront of a new wave of consumer championing. Like Nintendo, champions of consumers.
Well, tell you what, that'll be the first time ever. Amazing. Hearing the words Nintendo, and especially Nintendo of America, in the same sentence as champion of consumers. That's amazing. That's never happened before. Ever happened before. Yeah, tell you what then, shall we move on from this stuff and maybe get to Nintendo since you brought them up? We can talk about what Nintendo were probably going to show us at E3 and then sort of move on to the other two.
E3.
Phone home.
How's the sound of us sort of the E3 gone?
Yeah, speaking of E3 phone home, actually, there is one other bit of news coming out of this week in that the Atari landfill with all the the ET extraterrestrial unused cartridges is being searched for and potentially uncovered, which I think is actually a good thing because, it teaches a valuable lesson that when you massively overhype a game, massively commit far too much resources into it, and then it turns out to be crap, really bad things happen. That's like a very valid lesson, I feel. Just saying. I think a lot of people could learn from this lesson here.
Yeah. It's a good lesson.
Perhaps. It's a good lesson, right? So, look, Nintendo. Nintendo, as we've previously covered, aren't going to be doing a big fat media briefing, for better and worse, in my opinion. They're instead going to be doing a global Nintendo Direct presentation, which basically is going to give us all the Mario. Like all the Mario we ever wanted.
Yeah, we kind of knew this. We knew this 6 months ago. Well, we kind of knew this last year. They turned around and they said, "We got it coming. Mario Kart. Earlier this year, 2 new Zelda games. Well, Wind Waker HD and something else."
Yep, and that something else is rumored to be a potentially the most sort of labor-intensive and massively big budget project that Nintendo have ever embarked on. Like, it's supposed to be absolutely insane, and there's a good chance that we'll see that at E3 as well, because frankly, if they don't reveal it now, they might as well not show up. So we're going to get, as you said, we're going to get a new 3D Mario, like an actual new design specifically for the Wii U Mario.
And that's important, because we were having this conversation earlier today about how New Super Mario Bros. U is a really good game, but Carl, you made a really good point that you look at it, and then you look at New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and it looks kind of the same.
Yeah, visually it did look identical, and it was as I said in the conversation earlier. I sat down with a bunch of friends who aren't big gamers, such as our lot, our listeners and us. Basically, I said, "What do you know of the Wii U?" And the answers were confused and rather vague because they didn't quite know. And I was like, "Well, would you get a Wii U for like the new Mario game that's come out, or would you stick with the U?" And they were like, "Well, I'd stick with the Wii version because, well, it looks the same."
Also, what's a Wii U?
Exactly. Well, yeah, that was actually one of the responses. And this is the problem. They need to show that there is a significant step up, not just visually, but in gameplay terms. And I know, John, you've said in the review that there are gameplay innovations in New Super Mario.
It very cleverly subverts what you expect from the New Super Mario Brothers series, actually. Also, inflatable singing Yoshi babies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's there, but it was not communicated. I think that's just generally the problem the Wii U has had anyway. But they need to make that more clearer for consumers. And this is kind of like when you said that it was for better or for worse that they're doing, well, for better and for worse that they're doing this global live stream direct. In that it won't necessarily get out to the mainstream audience.
That's
it probably
point.
will do eventually, but that's the problem. We are going to see it. The hardcore press, the hardcore gamers are going to see it, and it's going to take a while for it to trickle down to the mainstream. And unless they have this huge advertising campaign which shows it and clearly states, this is the Wii U, it's brand new, well, kind of brand new, and it's got new experiences that you, and brilliant tablet controller, get in there. If they don't do that, then they're going to keep going along at the same kind of momentum that they have been for the past year or so.
Yeah, they are holding an event at E3, which I think is mainly for distributors, but I think there will be some international press there as well. So hopefully that will at least give them the exposure they need. As you've said, Nintendo Directs are great. And as I've said many times, Nintendo Directs are great, but only existing Nintendo fans and a gaming audience know that they happen.
It's interesting. I think actually Gamescom may prove to be a bigger deal for Nintendo. They've already admitted that outside of Japan they are not doing great. And being that it's like we said this a little bit before, being that it's a massive public, not trade like E3, but public show, an enormous like aircraft hangar of space for Nintendo to get Wii U units down there and get those new games in players and consumers' hands.
You forget, of course, that frequently they just go, no, we're just not going to turn up. They did that last time. Gamescom.
Yeah, they did that last time.
Nintendo, right, look, all of that notwithstanding, though, we are getting a new Mario game. Okay, we are going to see it. We are also definitely, this has been confirmed, we are going to see gameplay footage and a trailer. Well, maybe I've overstepped my bounds by saying gameplay footage. It better not just be CG, but we'll be seeing the new Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
greatly.
Hell yes. That's going to be cross-platform as well with the 3DS, so that'll be awesome. We're also going to see a new Mario Kart. Yes. And new Zelda, hopefully. We're going to see some more details of. Let's say this right now. Those are the big games. Those are the big first-party games that are actually system sellers. Those are the system sellers that the Wii U needs desperately, and hopefully we'll see a few more surprises, such as, I don't know, a new Metroid would be very, very much appreciated. And whatever the hell Retro Studios have been working on, that might be a new IP. And a new IP would be good as well. I feel like the Wii U needs a new mascot,
Absolutely.
And I feel generally we need new mascots. Like the PS4 reveal came out and it was like, well, we got the Knack guy and that's pretty much it. Otherwise it's sequel town.
Knack and Jonathan Blow, that's all you need.
Yeah. So I think we need more mascots and I'd like to see an actual new IP from them. But yeah, they're also going to be showing off. They're going to sucker you in with the big first-party system sellers, and then hopefully we're going to get some details about, the games that once you've turned up, the games that are going to keep you on the platform. Games like Bayonetta 2, games like, on the same platinum vein, The Wonderful 101, which for God's sake they need to show more of. Hopefully we're going to see some gameplay of the Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei crossover. And more to the point as well, they need to make a huge deal out of X, which we saw a few Nintendo Directs ago, and which is basically Xenoblade Chronicles 2. A massive open world RPG with mechs in it, with beautiful graphics designed for the system, almost certainly exclusive to the system, that's a sequel to one of the best JRPGs ever made, certainly one of the best of this generation, hands down, and that's developed by Monolith Soft, who are one of the best developers around when it comes to that genre. It's the first, in my opinion, it's the first next-gen JRPG that we've seen. So they need to make a huge deal out of that before Square Enix comes in and reveals something at the Sony presser, probably. So they need to make a big old deal out of that. And otherwise, yeah, just some more surprises and fun little, extras would be good. And a bit of third-party support probably wouldn't hurt either.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll almost certainly get a reminder about Rayman Legends.
Ha. Yeah.
Fully.
I'm still excited about it. But now it's been confirmed for Vita. I mean, I'd like to play it on my Wii U, but Rayman Origins was the bomb on Vita.
Yes.
Vita was, in my opinion, the best platform for Rayman Origins.
Just to point out, just in case you haven't seen, it's also on PlayStation Plus right now on the Vita, so you can download it.
Oh, hell, do that now. Go do that now.
Yeah.
Queue up that download. It's just, it just pops out of that beautiful OLED screen. It just looks incredible, and it's responsive, and you can even zoom in. It's got like pinch zoom. It's awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just so good. And you'll even get like a split. I think you even get a Splinter Cell exclusive costume on the Vita version. But anyway, no, that's not. We seem to be plugging the Vita in the middle of Nintendo's party. As you've said earlier, here's the thing. Like, Nintendo has an opportunity here, and if it's tempting to almost say it won a last big opportunity, because they've right now got to make up for months of inactivity and say the Wii U is worth a damn, not just to gamers but to developers and investors as well. They have to say, we are bringing the big guns to this console. You should get on it, because talking to developers, and then talk to us and say, you will come for these awesome big first-party games that you cannot find anywhere else. You will stay for this awesome niche stuff like Pikmin 3 and Bayonetta 2. And it's a small cut-price box that you can play you can trade our games in if you want as well. We are here. We're not doing the faff. We're not restricting you. We are not dominating you. We will not violate you with all of this stupid stuff. Our console is a box that plays kick-ass games. Boom. They have the opportunity to do that, and they need to. This is their last chance to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, at the moment, they are the only ones with the new console out.
Yeah, and it's out.
Yes, we are now talking months away from when Sony and Microsoft release their next console, and they need to show us, here it is, it's out now. Why wait for that when you and have to deal with, like I say, the pre-owned stuff when you can just play our games? Mario's so lovely. Go on, give him a hug. There's Yoshi there as well.
Oh yeah, we'll probably see some more of Yoshi's, the Wii U version of Yoshi's Island as well. The sort of Yoshi's Epic Yarn as well.
So yeah, they've definitely got a fair chance to really take this E3. But sadly, it's down to them whether they will.
And their past form is not great.
Yeah. At all.
When it comes to events like this, they're usually pretty calamitous, but because they're doing a Nintendo Direct, they'll have probably recorded it now. It's probably been recorded now.
Yeah.
So they'll have had time to really tweak it, make it good, hopefully like kick Reggie until he just refuses to tell any jokes at all and just
well, I'm hoping they localize it, because like most of them so far have been localized into 3.
They did say it would be a global broadcast, but yeah, I would love it if like
Shibata got on board with that.
Shibata's just really great.
And we've had some very poor ones, well, some rather sort of very, very sort of fluffy and wishy-washy,
like the Wii U
directs. So hopefully this will be all killer, no filler, bam, bam, bam. This is a box that plays games. Wonderful games.
Yep.
Get on board. Let's turn our attention to the other two. Let's take a look at Sony and Microsoft, because really Nintendo set themselves apart last generation, and they've continued to do it this time round, and for better or worse. But it's really going to be Sony versus Microsoft. And what are the key elements in those two press conferences where the battle is going to be most keenly fought?
The battle's going to be just fought straight down the middle on games, I think. It's what Microsoft are going to be doing, because they have to reveal some games. They forgot to do that. They have to do that now. I've written a very long and hopefully informative article about what to expect from all of the 3 major players, but it sort of boils down to Microsoft are going to be all about great big megaton reveals. Sony are going to be all about consolidation and saying, look, this is a gaming machine. Now we're going to show you what it looks like. Now we're going to give you a closer look at this awesome stuff. And here's some megaton reveals as well.
Yeah.
But the battle line we fought right down the middle on at this E3, I would think, on the games themselves and a little bit on the services as well.
Yeah. And so the question, because there's an article on the site brimming with expectations, but what I want to pitch to you guys is, if outlandish dreams and hopes, like what is the one thing on either side that could sway you? Like if they reveal whether it's like fucking Halo 5 and it's pimp as shit, and you're just like, okay, whatever Microsoft said about the whole fucking licensing thing, I need that in my life. What is it in your wildest dreams that you want to see from Sony and from Microsoft?
From Microsoft, I want to see Crackdown 3. Believe it or not. I think in terms of exciting launch titles, seeing a great, big, colourful, awesome, cel-shaded open world, that would be really fantastic. To be honest, I've loved the Halo series and I've followed it, but I kind of feel like Halo 4 actually finished off that story even more comprehensively than Halo 3 did. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's kind of final. So I don't know. Halo 5 would have to look amazing if they even gave us more than a teaser. Otherwise, yeah, I'd like to see some new stuff from them. It will take a brand new franchise, maybe from Black Tusk or someone like that. It would take, I want to see from both of these reveals, and I'm not the only journalist to say that, I want to see new stuff, not sequels. Sequels are okay. Sequels are fine as far as they go, but this is a new generation right now that we're supposed to be going into, a new generation. Do you remember back at the start of the last gen when we were going, oh my God, Gears of War looks amazing. Oh, wow, Uncharted, look at these amazing new games with their amazing new features. And now we're going, oh, look, there's a new Killzone. Oh, look, there's going to be a new Forza. Great. I want to see new stuff. And I think that Sony are better placed to deliver that because they've got the big, fat stable of first-party developers, and Media Molecule could bring something just outrageously insane out of the bag. Also, in my wildest dreams, I want to see Sony Santa Monica come out with a brand new God of War that still features Kratos, but he decides to go on an Egyptian holiday. Oh, what?
That would be amazing. That were a Norse one.
Imagine him beating down Anubis. Or something like that. That'd be
the journey into the underworld to fuck up Osiris.
Yes, actually going into the full on. Like, maybe it starts with them being mummified or something. That would be off the chain.
Or going out around, because, Osiris gets chopped up into a whole bunch of pieces, going out and trying to piece his body back together, and, like, just encountering a shit ton of African deities in the process. That would be quite cool.
Yes. So, yeah, basically, I mean, what would sell it for me is new stuff. I want to see new stuff. Also, I'm excited to see, like, if freaking The Last Guardian turns up. Which it won't, maybe. Hopefully. It must, but it won't. Maybe.
Carl, how about you?
I'm just trying to think, actually. I mean, we already know that that the only game worth giving a damn, PlanetSide 2 is coming to the PS4, and frankly, yes, you should get on that. Even if even if it's just the PC version, the physics on that is amazing.
Oh my God,
it's just so good.
I've been killed so many times just because I've actually taken I've had to just leave the keyboard and go downstairs and have
why aren't you moving,
shower and have a cold shower because an explosion will happen at the top of some stairs and thousands of individual sparks will cascade down the staircase.
Exactly. And that's going to be on the PS4. So, I mean, as far as
it has an AMD chipset.
Yeah, so that's there. I guess I did just have one for the PS4 and I cannot remember what it was now. But on the whole, I mean, I'm not entirely sure, really, if there's one thing that could basically tip me over the edge, honestly. I'm waiting for the surprises. I'm waiting for the new reveals to see what really draws me in terms of the game library. So, yeah, surprise me, basically.
I think that's a good point. Especially since both parties have said, look, there's just tons of unannounced stuff that we're bringing to this. It'll be interesting to see what the sort of big tier development studios on both sides. It'll be interesting to see who Microsoft have collared for their exclusives, because they don't really have a huge number of studios under the Microsoft Studios brand as in first or second party studios. But it'll be interesting to see which third parties, because they were very good at doing that at the start of the Xbox 360's lifespan, and they really should have just bought fucking BioWare.
They could have bought Sega. They could right now have Sega, BioWare, and Crytek. God knows they could. There was one point where they could have bought EA.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the thing. Like we've already been sport on a few reveals, like Titanfall. We know that's coming out, but it won't time me to get an Xbox One because I can get it on PC. Destiny will be seeing live gameplay, but I won't be tied to getting it on the PlayStation 3, even though it's going to be at their reveal because I can get it on the Xbox. It's they're gonna. Is it coming out for the PS3 as well? I mean,
yes, it's
totally,
exactly.
The only platform that hasn't been announced is PC.
So this is the thing, like I can get it on existing systems. So it really is the unknown stuff that is going to turn the tide, as far as my opinion goes. Although, to be fair, I'm going to be looking at what Star Citizen's doing because, Star Citizen.
Yeah, well, you think they could announce that for PS4? God knows that Sony are opening up to so
many
PC
I mean,
devs.
it's already been said that Red Thread Games is looking at bringing Dreamfall chapters to the PS4 and with sort of like the remote play for Vita, so you'll be able to play Dreamfall chapters in bed when you're going around because it's fully capable of doing so. So yeah, that'd be sweet.
I think that's really interesting. The fact that both of these consoles are primed now for MMOs. The fact that the MMOs could now just fucking retake off. This could be massive.
Absolutely. I mean, we've already had confirmation, like we said, PlanetSide 2 coming for the PS4. DC Universe Online, okay, it's not as great, but still, that's coming out. There will almost certainly be some form of announcement for EverQuest Next, which is going to be taking place. The announcement's going to be at the Sony Online Entertainment Fest thing in August, and that uses the same engine as PlanetSide 2. So if it's capable of running PlanetSide 2 on the PS4, then EverQuest, which is one of the biggest names in MMO, could be coming as well, which has been hinted at. So yeah, it's a big exciting time to get some truly genre-changing stuff onto the next gen.
And that's a good point because a lot of people, when you say the word MMO, kind of confuse that term with MMORPG.
Yes.
Like it's easy to do that, but pretty much any genre could be massively multiplayer.
Absolutely.
And with these two, I mean, God knows there have been attempts at a few. Like, just look at just look at PlanetSide 2 and join the TR because it's the only choice. Join the Terran Republic. Better Red than dead, frankly. I'd rather be in the Republic than a traitor.
Than a Smurf or a Barney, yeah, basically.
Sorry, but I'm just making that clear. But yes, we could see any number of things. Like, I mean, admittedly, sort of SimCity is slightly soured by lust for games becoming MMOs slightly, but the premise still is sound. These huge, persistent worlds that, it doesn't have to be an RPG. It could be a city building sim, a better one than SimCity. It could be a footy game, or it could be, where you actually have your own club. Your totally own club or something in this enormous league. It could be a flight sim. It could be genres we haven't even considered yet, but it won't be for a while because publishers are extremely gun shy when it comes to exciting innovation. But it could, going forward, being an MMO, and the fact that it's a very attractive model because it's very easy to monetize those. Like, we're going to see a lot more of that going forward, and I'm really excited.
Absolutely.
And of course, to play all those games, you'll have to be online all the time. So it won't matter if you have to log in every 24 hours.
I think that's actually a really interesting point because as far as I'm concerned, being a PC gamer who has played a lot of MMOs over the past, 15 years, the whole thing about needing to have an account and everything else doesn't really bother me as much. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can appreciate that it's a huge shock to the system for those who haven't really had to experience it, but it doesn't bother me that much. But also, getting back onto the old MMOs thing, we're not just talking about the PlayStation 4 here. They've already said that Microsoft have servers that will be able to host their own sort of like persistent world as well. So really, it's really exciting in that anything could be announced. These 8 new IPs that Microsoft said that's going to be there I'm really excited to see what they're going to come out with. I mean, yes, it's probably going to be Fable Online, but still, it's still
maybe
exciting.
some sort of massively multiplayer, or at least more than 2 players. Worst co-op ever.
It really
Like
will.
better than that. It was, why couldn't you use your own character and get your own experience? That was ridiculous. But yeah, it'll be better than that. And Microsoft are well set. They've got apparently more computing power than existed in the world in 1999 or something.
Yeah, I'd hope
which
so.
is kind of you can kind of
Completely
understand that, because
arbitrary.
I was going to say, because frankly, like I think the Samsung Galaxy S4 pretty much covers that criteria by itself. You don't have to send me one, it's fine. But I'd like one though. But the only problem I think with the Xbox One is that Xbox Live Gold could put a spanner in the works with
Well, there is
MMOs,
that.
and
But then we don't know what Sony are doing in terms of their subscription, because PlayStation Plus is almost certainly going to exist.
they've confirmed that it will.
But what about, there have been murmurs about some form of other subscription? I mean, I hope that isn't the case.
I'd assume that they bring in more tiers of PlayStation Plus. Now they've realised it's taken off, like maybe a really awesome premium tier or something. And if Sony Online Entertainment are going to be really getting on board with the PS4 from day one, maybe some sort of joint account that gets you sort of what's the SOE? They have different currency for each game, don't they? SOE at the moment, or do they have a?
No, they've unified it now.
Yeah, maybe you get monthly currency for that, maybe, and a few boosts for you or something like that, or monthly boosts and buffs and stuff for the MMOs that you're a member of. They could quite easily do that, and that'd be great if they did that, because SOE will be bringing a lot of good stuff. So that's super exciting, and it will be very, very interesting to know what Xbox Live Gold is going to. That I don't know if we'll learn about at E3. I don't necessarily know if the big bombastic Usher-filled stage is going to be the right platform for that discussion, but we will probably learn more about that through more Xbox Wire posts and sort of interview snippets as well.
Agreed. And I'd be quite surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see what you suggested, the sort of flexi tier system come to PlayStation Plus, like a mid-range tier with reduced numbers of games perhaps, and then another top-level tier on top of the current one with like even more goodies. But I'd be very surprised if Sony made players start paying for regular multiplayer in the way that Xbox Live does, because Xbox Live Gold at the moment, I was chatting to someone the other day who recently bought an Xbox for the first time, and they were flabbergasted. They were completely stumped by by the fact that you have to buy Gold to run Netflix.
Yeah.
And I don't see. I would be very surprised if Sony kind of introduced anything that ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, Microsoft.
I certainly hope they don't. I really, really hope that they don't. But we've got to wait and see. We've got to need clarification, and I really hope they give it to us at E3.
Please wait and please understand. So with time running out, it's time for a completely pointless, wonderful question to finish off this pre-3 game buzz. It's completely pointless. It's troll-filled, and it's who's going to win E3.
It depends what you mean by win. I think, at the moment, I think like the Microsoft's going to be doing their best to not lose E3, because they're going to be coming out strong. I don't think, I get the feeling perhaps that we might come out of this E3 thinking the Wii U looks much better. And otherwise, I don't still think there's much point pre-ordering either next-gen console yet. I don't know. I get the feeling that we're going to come out of it and think that was really cool, and I've seen loads of games, but I still don't think there's enough yet to justify a pre-order.
So what you're saying is Nintendo will win E3?
Sort of, but I don't think they're going to flog. They're not going to see a huge amount of sales from it, because as we've already said, no one apart from us. And us, I mean you listeners, know that presentation's happening. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's tempting to say that Sony will win. if you really want an answer on this, they're already in a very strong position right now. Unlike Microsoft, they've said we have a games machine for savvy gamers. It plays games. We've got good games. They are well set up with a huge arsenal of first-party developers and have been massively supporting the indie and boutique sector. We're going to see great stuff from them, of course, with probably a bit of lovely footage from developers saying how supportive they've been. And fair play to them, because they've been really good. They've been reaching out themselves to people like Digital Extremes for Warframe.
And the
Warframe's on PC. Sony didn't reach out. They didn't go to Sony and say, hey, look, we've got this idea. Sony came to them and said, your free-to-play Steam game looks awesome. I think you should bring it to the PS4 and we'll help you do that.
The pub fund as well, going after, creating a central money pot.
I mean, they've had that for a while, but it's really good, and they really overtook Microsoft, who should have made more of Xbox Live Indie. But I think Sony, it's tempting to say that Sony could win E3, but on the other hand, Microsoft could make enough noise with some massive games. And they'd have to be huge, but if they really knocked it out the park, say if Rise looks absolutely amazing, for example, or if they storm out with just some amazing killer-looking IP from Black Tusk, maybe Microsoft could make enough noise to get us absolutely amped for the Xbox. But they've, I think, got a lot more work to do. And I think, Cole, you put it quite well that, to be honest, as it stands, this E3 is Sony's to lose.
It really is. They have the best momentum going in. I think in ranking, it's probably Microsoft in third, Nintendo in second, and Sony in first. In terms of momentum going in, that's how they stand. But it really is Sony's to lose, Nintendo's to steal, and Microsoft's to really gain. They've got to really work at it.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. Because I was about to say, Ninty, woo! Put my fanboy hat. But you're right, Nintendo's to steal, because they haven't... They should steal it, I reckon.
Yes.
They really should. All the noises they've been making, they really ought to steal it. But in terms of momentum, Sony are best poised to take this.
Absolutely.
Whatever that means. Because it's a pretty dumb question. But we love it. And we know that the internet does as well. So,
yeah, we want to hear your answer to that question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, who are you most excited to hear from? What specific games are you most psyched to learn about? And studios who, have been working on secretive things, who are you most psyched to hear from? And do let us know in the comments box. Let us know in the little games tab in the forums we've got going on. We'll be writing and reporting on as much as we possibly can over the next few days, and there'll be opinion pieces galore. And if you guys feel incredibly strongly about something, or if there's something that you've picked up on that you want to write something perhaps a little bit too long for a comments box, send it into contact@dealsbone.com. We've just run our first community corner piece, and this is frankly the best stage for it. It's going to be E3. It's going to be big. It's going to be the biggest one in the last decade.
Messy. It's going to be really messy as well. It's going to be
enormously messy. And
it's going to be a hot mess. And you know what? I'm happy with that.
We can't
Ninja,
wait.
Please.
Bring it.
Ninja, please.
We'll catch you after the weekend for some, after the press conferences for some entertaining chat. We'll see you then. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.